great privilege to be part of this launch for Indonesia of this international program, this women's initiative, Creators of Peace. Really is a privilege and a pleasure to be here. So, women of the world, we each have a choice to live on the side of peace and justice, or to continue to contribute to their destruction. There's no middle position, really. We are all invited to be the peace, caring about and addressing all the needs of the world around us, social, physical, economic, spiritual, and relational. Above all, relational. You know, as conflict resolution teacher Jean-Paul Lederac, I hope you've heard of him, he once said, at the heart of every global concern, there is a relational disturbance. Okay, at the heart of every global concern, there is a relational disturbance. And this is what we're seeing now in every part of the world, right now. This is the context in which this Peace Week and Creators of Peace launch is taking place. The context of the most terrible conflicts, killings and woundings, displacements, homelessness and hunger, child and environmental abuse. And it all has to do with disturbed relationships. Our relationships with our spiritual truths, with each other, with nature, with our unhealed national, personal histories of hurt and humiliation. Relationships contaminated by fear and prejudice, by selfishness and greed. And as women, the relational is so important to us. It starts within the family and the community. It is key to effective living and inspired decision-making. Even at the highest levels of government, women's role as relationship builders in all these forums is critical, alongside all the other skills that we can contribute. So the program, Creators of Peace, which we are launching in Indonesia today, is all about this contribution of women to the story of birthing a shared understanding of our shared humanity. The story of our shared humanity, which is not a story that we are very good at telling. The main methodology of Creators of Peace, this global network, is called the Creators of Peace Circle. It is designed to bring women from diverse backgrounds together over a few days in a space where they can explore the real and fuller meaning of peace, to share their stories, to dare to be honest and vulnerable, to appreciate each other, to embrace difference, and face the challenge of personal transformation. Everyone longs for inner peace, that deep soul core of faith and resilience. We each need to discover for ourselves what disturbs that inner peace and how to deal with those disturbers. So often it's just our egos that are easily upset, if we're honest. However, if we're serious about peace creating, we need to be disturbed by what we need to be disturbed by. There is so much that needs to disturb us. I mean, sadly, so many of us were disturbed by other things. But there is so much in the world we need to be disturbed by. That is why we're called to be creators of peace. Creators of Peace, advertises itself as transforming, empowering, and engaging women in peace. There is a lot of talk about women's empowerment, the need for all women to find their equal voice and part in society, economically, politically, and socially. However, the empowerment that we are most interested in comes from transformation, a personal change of heart and motive, helping women to find freedom from bitternesses, from jealousies, from selfishness, all those things that limit all of us from making our best contribution to life. When we can restore relationships within our own lives with compassion and forgiveness, we have something very powerful to bring change to others. Change starts with me is the fundamental insight of initiatives of change, which is, of course, the parent body of Creators of Peace. This insight that change starts with me, if accepted, is the start of a journey to peace and healing, not only for the individual, but of course has an effect on the community around them. It started for me, more than 50 years ago. Started, hasn't finished, but more than 50 years ago when I apologized to my father for my bitterness. Years later, he asked me for my forgiveness. These were the first steps in restoration of a friendship. And then I was honest about stealing some money and the jealousy that I had, particularly towards my brother at that time. And over time, I have discovered the freedom and empowerment to engage in caring for others, in peace creating. As Mahatma Gandhi said, there is no way to peace. That sounds rather shocking, doesn't it? There is no way to peace, because peace is the way. Peace is a way of life, a journey that we can join or rejoin when we might have fallen behind. Being the change, being the peace is a lifelong learning and the best qualification for a meaningful life. Creators of Peace, this global network of mostly women, share this conviction. Now, I say mostly women because there are many men involved, in some places as facilitators. However, the leadership remains in women's hands. We have active cells in about 30 countries currently, though our Creators of Peace circles have been held in more than 50 countries. We are in the process of working with UN Women to use our Creators of Peace circle methodology in addressing gender-based violence and building resilience in women. We have an ongoing project with UNESCO exploring intergenerational trauma from the experience of slavery. Our activities are primarily focused on community building across all the divides in our human family that cause so much separation and lack of trust. I hope that in the years to come, the creators of peace circles will be used to bridge those divides around Indonesia and between our nations, an inspiration to the world family. Peace is people becoming different is the theme of today, of the Peace Week, of this Peace Week, Bandung Peace Week. And I have understood this over half a century through witnessing remarkable reconciliations and acts of honest reparation as individuals let go of the traps of hate, fear, and greed and become instead agents for peace. People becoming different every day. So, may I leave you with the key question for all of us. What stops me? Thank you.
Thank you. My journey started when I was living in Canada. I was keen on building bridges between the East and the West, and mainly the Islamic culture and the side and the Western. That was when I made Initiatives of Change Canada, and when I learned about Creators of Peace program. Then I happened to move to Syria just a few months before the war. It was very devastating because learning about peace at a place of peace is so different when you are in the middle of the war. We never expected to have war in Syria. We never expected to have division. We grew up all loving each other, not knowing the difference between denominations in one denomination. So I started in my building. I started running peace circles in my building. Then I got to know some organizations that occurred in the war to support the Syrian families, especially the evacuated. So it was very painful, sensitive, and sometimes insulting to talk about peace at a time when people are very hurt and very in pain, in huge pain. They are, whether they are victims or victimizers, thinking that they are victims as well. So at the beginning, it was hard. I was many times misinterpreted. Each side thought that I was saying by the other side, which was also dangerous for me and for my family. But I went through this experience, and I kept running peace circles in these organizations that were licensed by the government. It was a place to be in a safe zone where every woman has to be herself. They had to put their political attitudes and religious convictions out of the room, and when they come inside the room, they are only human beings listening to each other. We started living or applying the gathering points of the program in our current situations and reality at that time, which opened the door to see each other as a human being and to know that we really didn't know each other very deeply. We had to know each other. We had to understand our fears from each other's and our needs for each other's. So that went through the war. Then I got employed at a school, and then we found out that peace need to be also generated by teachers and by parents. And in order to do that, we had to invite people and women, teachers and mothers to attend Creators of Peace program. I was lucky that my boss was very open to peace and to any developing ideas that touch humanity and develop humanities. Sabah Nahas, her name was Sabah Nahas. Um, uh, we always had meetings, Creators of Peace program with parents, and a lot of husbands said to the administration that please keep running such programs because our wives come back very energetic. And at the time of war, these husbands need someone to support them, need their wives to be on their sides because they were very stressed and they were very afraid. And but by creating a positive atmosphere full of hope, of hope for a better future, positivity, talking about the issues with an open eyes and heart, that created also peace at war at home, and that affected our students as well. Even though the school was closed, but the same principal kept gathering the mothers and the teachers for such meetings. So we didn't only focus on the program, Creators of Peace program. We had to fulfill it by keep meeting, by practicing quiet time together. So there are many programs in initiatives of a change beside Creators of Peace program that focused on also inner change, inner peace. And I applied that with the team we had. Our work reached and was encouraged by initiatives of Change Lebanon, where we started inviting women who finished attending Creators of Peace program, and we invited them to go to Lebanon to listen to their experience about wars and peace. And it was very meaningful because that broke a lot of barriers between both countries. We had neighbors always, most of the time, have issues and problems, whether political or social. That broke a lot of barriers between us. And we had also Creators of Peace program in Lebanon together, and the first one was by Jean Brown when she was in Lebanon. But after that, we had different meetings, many meetings, and lately we are now focusing on education in order to build peace in to build peace in the education system, and to encourage the women to encourage them to generate peace and generate positivity, especially the Lebanese Syrian teachers. Now we are trying to combine Creators of Peace program with trust building program and open discussions honest and loving and respectful discussions.
Do you want to hear this some Indonesian stuff?
Sorry.
It's someone unmuted. Continue, Iman.
Okay. So this initiative never ends. Now it's very hard situation. What's happening in the region, whether in Gaza or in Lebanon now, in Syria from time to time, all these are affecting us, affecting the concept of peace. People, start to navigate, like, is it peace? What should we do at this time? But in my experience, I found out that even though we get to be tested by war and the brutality of war, yet attending Creators of Peace program creates this kind of inner peace and inner love for others. I do want the war to end. I do want justice, but also I feel I have some compassion for instance, people from all sides. So I think Creators of Peace program is really important because it brings us to face our fear and to face the time when we live the opposite of our convictions. So the battle never ends as long as we are on the earth. But we need to work for justice, for awareness, for creating safe zone for people to understand each other, learn from each other, to reduce the amount of hatred and fear. And also we need healing to the collective memory that have been affected centuries ago. Thank you very much.
Thank you. I'm Leah. Thank you for having me here. This is an honor for me, and I really hope I will have a stable network because I live in Timor area. So please pray for my network. Is it possible for me to share my screen?
Sure, please, Mbak Leah, and the team, please help Mbak Leah. Kamu yang wait.
Okay, yeah, while
we
waiting for share screen. Okay, it's possible.
Yeah, you already.
Okay. So everyone can see my screen? Yeah. I'm Lilia Wetangtera. I belongs to the Eastern Indonesian Women's Network. I will call the JPIT, Jaringan Perempuan Indonesia Timur, GPIT. And GPIT is a research organization that established in August 2009, and the members of GPIT is consists of 40 interfaith organizations and individuals from Eastern Indonesia, from East Nusa Tenggara, NTT, Kalimantan, Sulawesi, Maluku, Halmahera, and Papua. And focus of GPIT focus on the issue of women, religion, and culture. And now I will share 3 research and advocacies that we have conducted. The first research of GPIT, is research about anti-communist movement in East Nusa Tenggara. At the time, there are several research have been conducted concerning anti-communist movement in Indonesia, but most of them is the story from Java and Bali. So GPIT conducted a research related to anti-communist movement, or we call tragedy, 1965 tragedy in East Nusa Tenggara. So in our research, we collect the narrative from a woman, so her story, not his story, to figure out the 1965 tragedy from the perspective of women at the grassroots. And another aim of the research is to analyze the role of religion in tragedy 1965 in East Nusa Tenggara. And we found in this research that religion played the ambivalent role. Religion played the role as a support to the victims, but however, we also found religion also played the role as a perpetrators. In this research, we conducted interview with the 99 women in Timor, Sumba, and Sabu, and the participant, the researcher of this research is include pastor, prospective pastor, and theology student. The researcher's religious identity background serve as a means for establishing the participant trust, because this is a sensitive issue. So our background as a religious student, as a pastor, it's helped to gain the trust from the participant. And this research also is a means of reconciliation, since the sum of the researchers and some of the researchers is both the children and the perpetrators. So this is the part of reconciliation. This research continue with advocacy. So after we conducted this research, we realized that we cannot only gain the narrative from the victims and share to the public as a book, but we realized that we need to advocate the victims. That's why now we still have the advocacy program for the victims. One of the program is the prayer compassion, which a prayer meeting when the victims meetings together and pray together every 2 months. And now, please pray for us also, because we start to initiate the statue to memory as a memorialisasi of anti-communist movement in East Nusa Tenggara. So the second research that I want to share is research about the interregional analysis related to conflict Poso, Ambon, and Atambua. This research explored the role of women prior the conflict, during the conflict, and after the conflict. This research reveals that women at the grassroots level, during and after the conflicts, briefly overcome existing segregation and foster peace through the simple acts, such as the exchange of food and medicine. When the men afraid to overcome the segregation, women take initiative, the simple initiative. There are, and we found also in this research that there are ambivalent role of women in conflict. Women involved in conflict, yeah, as a perpetrator sometimes, but women also create their place, the peace place, and initiate peace in the middle of conflict and after the conflict. And the third research and advocacy that I want to share for you, all of you, is about our research and advocacy in human trafficking issue. JPIT engaged in research and advocacy concerning human trafficking within the migrant worker sector. Indonesian migrant workers who subjected to violence and exploitation. East Nusa Tenggara, as maybe most of you know, that in East Nusa Tenggara, or NTT, is one of the provinces with the highest number or rates of human trafficking issue in Indonesia. So we providing advocacy to human trafficking victims who were subjected to slavery in Medan, and also we advocacy for Yufrinda Selan case, a migrant worker murdered in Malaysia, and another case. And in human trafficking advocacy, we learned that and we found that women with a lack of education, limited skill, and who live in poor families are intentionally targeted by human trafficking syndicate. So what I learned from my research and advocacy in Japit, that I found that religion has an ambivalent role. It depends on you. You want to use religion as a peace tools or as a perpetrator's tools. So it's up to us. So never stop to asking about the rule of religion and the rule of us as a religious people. Thank you.